G'day guys. I thought I'd try something a little different today, and just wanted to, I don't know, maybe get you included in something I'm working on. I've decided to build a little Necron army, try to get one ready for a tournament coming up next year. And I've already built some of my first models. I just picked these up the other day, and I don't know, just wanted to go through this step by step. Maybe sort of, I haven't really made my mind up on how I want to paint these things yet, but I think at the very least I can start the modelling process. So, in case you're not familiar, these are Necron Immortals. I think, can I get the zoom in on that? So, I've modelled them up with Tesla carbines, I think they're called. And one thing I noticed about modelling these things was these shoulder plates, when they come together, sort of this front bit here connects to the back piece there, and it produces a seam sort of running down the side here, and it makes a seam in the shoulder plate there. I've tried to correct that with a bit of this liquid green stuff, and I sort of put it on there and spread it around and let it dry this morning, and this afternoon I got this fine sandpaper and just sort of smoothed it out. But I think it's covered up a couple of the sections a bit, so just clean them up a bit, but generally it hasn't really filled the gaps in a lot. And I think for the sake of just getting these guys done, I might just go ahead with the way they are. I think they look pretty cool and should be fairly easy to paint too. So I think the thing I wanted to try next was, I'm planning on using some of that paint, the technical paint that cracks up on the bases. I don't know what colour I'm going to go yet. I might even do that Mars red sort of colour. But I think just right now I was going to just glue some little bits down, rocks and stuff like that, just to add a bit of texture. So yeah, we might be able to sort of come along for the ride. Just got some PVA, so I've got a big bottle of this out in the garage, and I just transfer it to this little one so I can work with it. And I don't tend to water it down. I know people do that, but a bit of a CBF. And I've got this old brush. I've had this thing for years, but you can see sort of on the end there, I don't know if you can sort of make it out, but there's no bristles left on this thing. It's just like a stump, and I just use it for basing. I just get a bit of PVA on the end and sort of put some down, and just use this sort of the end of the brush to push it around a bit. So there's still a use for these old dead brushes. And what I've got here, this is just, I bought a it's like a 5 kilo bag of landscaping sand, and it comes pretty wet in the packet, so it's kind of useless when it's like that. But I got a big oven tray out and some baking paper and covered it in this sand out of the bag and put it in the oven for half an hour, and it dried it all out. I've still got heaps of this stuff left, but after it was dried out, I ran it through a sieve, just a normal sort of kitchen sieve. I got this finer sort of sand on top, and I used that for sort of most general basing. And I got this kind of gravel in there too. So these gravelly bits are good for kind of larger rocks for bases. So on this guy, I'm guessing this one I'm not going to mess around. I might just chuck some rocks down, and that could be enough. So for them, because I want to have this cracked base, I don't want to cover the whole base in glue and put rocks and things everywhere. I want to have sort of small patches of rocks sticking up out of the cracked earth. So I'm just going to repeat that for all of these guys. So you can see what I've done here. Hardly anything fantastic, but I've used the big rocks as a sort of starting point, dip it in there and shake it around, and then I've just run it through the finer sand to fill in the little gaps in the glue. Another thing, a lot of you guys probably already use is cork. So these are just bits I keep in a little box. They're from a large sheet of cork. So something a bit like this. You can buy sort of big packs of these things from hardware stores, for flooring and things like that. And all you do with it is you kind of just tear it to pieces, and you get these little chunks, bits like that. They look a lot like, because they're all rough, they look like rocks, so they come up pretty cool sometimes. One thing is, when you break these bits up, you tend to get bits from the edge. You end up with so much of this stuff, I could probably just chuck it all out, but I can't be bothered tearing up another new sheet of this right now, so it's probably a good idea just to take those sort of flat edges off as you're working along. Okay, so that's all 10 of them based for now. I think what I might do next is probably chuck a little bit of primer on there, just a light dusting, and I think after that I'll probably spray them silver. What I've got in mind is a lot of dry brushing and washes, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple, but I think it produces a good result on Necrons. So yeah, we'll try that out, and yeah, I'll be back shortly.